Racing you is the most exciting event of my life. Fuck, that's sad.
It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. This is the first text on the website for Heading Out, a road trip adventure from developer series Sim. In many ways, this is a proper description for a game with a narrative that's curated by choices you make before each trip. But I do find that this destination could be one that's worth it in the end. Still, the journey aspect of the adventure is easily where this fun lies. So, let's crack open a Red Bull and download some episodes of our favorite podcasts, cause we're hitting the open road. The narrative of Heading Out is separated into 4 acts. Each act's opening plays out the same way. You're awakened from a dream where you die, and as you attempt to figure out the meaning of this, a fast car with blue lights speeds past you. Given that this is your only lead, you put the pedal to the metal and take off in pursuit. It's here that you realize that there's a bit more to this chase, as your fear, represented by an ominous red glow and a gauge at the top of your screen, tries to catch up with you. Once you outrun it, you're taken to the map of America and given a destination. There are multiple routes, but you constantly have to consider choices because fear isn't going away and will haunt you until the end of each act. So that's the destination part of the game. Now let's talk about the journey. I think the best way I can explain the subplots of Heading Out is relating it to like a Cthulhu-esque text adventure, where every choice you make comes with an effect on your stats and mental stability. Each stop along the open road usually has an accompanying scenario that can affect a few different aspects of your trip, which we'll get into later. Once you land on a scenario, the scene is set, and a response is required to clear the scenario. These choices aren't easy, and sometimes they even stray into moral dilemmas as you try to stay a level-headed member of society amidst some crazy events. Further, some of these stories have multiple parts and even require you to get to a secondary destination to continue the plotline. Although I don't want to write off the main campaign's message, I do think these scenarios are the best thing about this title. They are creative, dark, disturbing, and emotionally charged, making you question whether this game is based on reality or if it's some twisted subplot reality where everything is just somber and lonely. Based on the choices you make before an act, the game has a way of crafting an emotionally charged set of events that will move you or possibly even trigger some thoughts of some buried memories or feelings. So aside from being a racing game with some resource management, Heading Out provides a rather gripping narrative and stories that make each run chaotically unique. Outside of scenarios, you'll have to control your speed while traveling to the next destination, or cops will randomly appear, so if you don't want to get pulled over, you'll need to drive the speed limit. Yes, though, fear is still chasing you, so it becomes a balance of what you can get away with. Further, going fast burns gasoline, and money isn't the easiest to stockpile. Don't worry though, there are worse things on the open road than not having money. I mean, at least in this game, you can take a chance and try to run after stealing the gas, at the cost of getting caught by the police though. The quickest way to get money is to race other drivers and win. So I think it's time we talked about the racing. Racing sections are usually tied to the length of a song, which is an average of about 3 minutes long. The courses all exist on the open road, but I did notice that some of the racetracks have repeated areas no matter where you are in America. However, this is only noticeable after several runs through the campaign, and during of which you'll be racing a lot, and this sadly becomes the most repetitive section of the game. In the event that your character is low on focus, his eyes will close as you're driving, making it difficult to see the road. However, the more I played, the more the races made me feel like this. I mostly attribute this to the length of the races, and how I sometimes had to purposely just drive badly to ensure that the race was close. To help this, there are some difficulty options, and even ones to make the sections easier. So after upping the difficulty for a run, I found the challenge to be a nice area for replays. Racing involves racing for money, getting rid of the cops, or outrunning fear. After each act, you'll unlock a new possible activity that extends past this, but they all mostly play out the same style of racing to a song, which can cause some more exhaustion while playing. Regardless, the overworld sections are where the fun lies, and I think this game delivers a unique experience unlike anything that I've ever played. Your choices carry significant weight for how you'll adapt to each run. There's high challenge in managing your resources and making sure your car is in good working order. I would say though that the overworld map is a bit cluttered in the HUD, which is also found on the racing scenes, making things just a little messy and you don't know where to look. Also, I think what makes the driving portions a bit more repetitive is how there aren't any customizations that you can make to the cars with like upgrades to the driving, so every car kind of controls the same, other than their speed differences. After each act, you'll unlock a new car and you'll continue to the next chapter. I feel like mentioning too many portions of the story or unlockables is borderline spoiler because all this ties into the randomness of the open road. There are so many events to react to that determine things like your fame or reputation. As you progress through the campaign, more and more people will recognize you, which does make things harder to get unnoticed, and definitely will alert the cops in due time. The radio stations also adapt to your choices and determine some of the tracks that they play and what the hosts say about you. Graphically, the gray comic book-like world is aesthetically pleasing. The red and yellow stand out as the only colors you can see besides the blue from the mysterious car that you're chasing. Controlling the cars does take some getting used to, since you'd expect deeper mechanics for these driving sections, but they are relatively arcadey. After the first act, I got a better idea of the driving, but again, the sections weren't my favorite part. On the other hand, I did grow fond of the narration, audio direction, and radio. The talk stations have this dark humor angle to them that makes them worth listening to fill you in on the state of the world. Heading Out puts a spotlight on the loneliness that stems from driving out in the open road. Events are unpredictable, but you're forced to adapt and survive, and this game encourages that at every pit stop. However, the driving portions are merely the appetizer to the strong narrative writing and engrossing scenarios. So, with the wind in my hair and my wanted level at a minimum, I'll happily speed off into the sunset to catch whatever new adventure this game throws at me. And if you're wondering where I ended up on the destination or journey debate, I'd say it's a little bit of both for this road trip. Noisy Pixel is giving Heading Out a 7.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth, and subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.